So this is our 2012 Elantra Touring, and we're going to cover off how to change the oil and oil filter today. So this is the equipment we're going to need. So we have an oil filter wrench, and a hydraulic jack, and a socket set and gloves. We're also going to be putting on the parking brake to make sure the car doesn't move. So here's the engine compartment. One of the steps we're going to have to do is way down there is a cover that we have to remove in order to get to the oil filter, and we'll do that from the bottom. So this is the cover underneath that we're going to have to remove, and as you can see, clearance is a little tight down here, so we're going to raise the car about 4 inches with a hydraulic jack so we can get better access in here. Okay, so we're going to raise the car a bit. There is a jack point underneath the car that the jack should line up with. And there, now we have adequate clearance. Now this is an axle stand type jack, so it will not drop on top of us. It's very important that you use a proper jack for this kind of job. So we're going to be using a 10mm socket to remove the 3 nuts that hold that cover on. I can do this. Now the cover is off. So now that the cover is removed, there's the oil filter. And we're going to use this oil filter wrench here to pull it off. So here's our oil pan, and we're going to take out the drain plug and drain out the oil. Okay, so we're going to use a 17mm socket set to remove the drain plug. Loose. Put the drain pan in place and then take the plug out. Watch the oil spray. And there it goes. Good thing we're wearing gloves. We're going to put on a new aluminum washer. These are specially designed for oil drain plugs, and here's the original washer, which is kind of flattened out, and we're going to replace that with a new one. So these are 2 washers side by side. The old one is kind of crushed and the new one is nice and flat, and we're going to put that on the bolt. Okay, so the flow of oil is greatly reduced now, and we're going to remove the oil filter using the special oil filter wrench. So this is the oil filter wrench on a socket set. And just put it on the end of the oil filter, and then do the rest by hand once it's loose. So now that the oil has stopped dripping, we're going to reinstall our drain plug. And just do it up reasonably tight. And there we go. Now to remove the oil filter by hand. It's already been loosened and it should come right out. And there it is, dripping oil. And out it comes. Always turn it upside down to get the oil out of the oil filter. So here's the new oil filter ready to install, and we're just going to get a film of oil on the ring that goes around the bottom, and you can just dip it lightly in the used oil. So the oil, just make sure you don't get used oil in the filter, you just want it on the ring going around it. And then screw it back on. And be sure to only do it up hand tight. So the last step underneath the car is to put the cover back on and just reinstall the 3 bolts that we removed earlier. So we're going to drop it off the jack. Now be sure that you use a proper jack like this one that has a safety catch. And now it's down. Okay, now we're going to put the oil in. So take off the filler cap and put in place an oil funnel. And we're using synthetic oil, 5W20, just like it says in the owner's manual. And be sure and pour in the amount that the owner's manual says. You don't want to over or underfill the engine. We know when to stop because the side of the jug is calibrated, so we're able to put in the exact correct amount. So we're just checking the oil stick. Just before we start the engine, we want to make sure it looks about right, and then we're going to start the engine and then check it again. So just before starting the engine, we're going to put the oil fill plug back in place. And now we're going to start the engine and let it run for a couple of seconds. Now that the engine has run for a bit, we're going to check the oil level one more time. This is because the oil filter can use up to 1/4 liter of oil when it gets changed. And now we have the level exactly right, just the way it should be. And there we have it. The oil has been changed successfully and the car is now ready to go.